Hi, everyone. It's Bethany, founder of Ocean View Marketing. Welcome back to Failing Forward. Today's guest is Meg O'Neill, a marketing expert, educator, and bold voice in the world of personal branding. In this episode, Meg opens up about her winding path to entrepreneurship and how embracing imperfection has become her superpower. Meg's journey is a masterclass in showing up authentically, doing it messy, and trusting that your path doesn't have to look like anyone else's. All right, let's dive in. Hello, and welcome to the Failing Forward podcast. Today, we have Meg O'Neill, marketing and community building expert. Welcome, Meg.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
So excited to chat with you and learn a little bit about your journey. All right, let's start off with, it sounds like you have had a wide variety of career experience. Did you always want to be an entrepreneur? Tell us a little bit about that path.
I wouldn't say I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I went into college doing communications at the time, so that was in 2001, and my grandmother always told me that I'd be a great news anchor, and I loved that idea. I was always very interested in what was going on. I wanted to be the first one to know the news, so I went in doing communications, and I was actually thinking of this story the other day in our freshman year class. The professor was telling us how blogs were becoming like a big popular thing. And I was like, what is this? This may like who would actually read this? I went on to be like the biggest blog fan and then really embrace that during as Facebook and Instagram came out. So I always knew that I wanted to be open to trying different things. And I actually thought that I wanted to be somewhere that I would work my way up. But then once I had kids, I realized like I really needed a lot of flexibility. And I think that's when I decided like entrepreneurship would be for me.
Interesting. Do you want to share a couple of the roles that you had prior to opening your own business?
Sure, I would love to. So I started my career doing a year of volunteering in Philadelphia, and I worked at a homeless shelter for pregnant women where they then hired me to be the director of development. And I was 22, 23 at the time. I went on to raise over $100,000 for them and run their fundraising events, and it was an amazing experience. Then from there, I moved back to Massachusetts and I became the director of alumni support for an all boys school, scholarship school, actually, in Lawrence, Massachusetts. And after a few years doing that and working with their alumni, which I just had such a great experience doing, and I always said, like, I knew that I didn't have kids at the time, and I knew that, like, God or the universe, whatever, put me there for a reason. And then I went on to have two boys. So I was like, I know that this was like good training for me for life. And while I was there, I was promoted to the dean of students. So I was the dean of students there for a few years, being somewhere for about 25 to 28, I think, and had my first child, left that position, and really always thought I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. And once I became a stay-at-home mom, I was like, "Oh, no, no, this is not for me. I do not want to do this anymore." But I did still want the flexibility. So I was doing social media for a pre and postnatal wellness facility. They were very small, one person owned. And a man came in. It was during the time of when breast pumps were being covered by insurance. A man came in to talk about breast pumps, and I liked him. He was very personable. And I was like, "Hey, if you ever need somebody to work for you, I would love to do that." And he hired me. So at that point, my claim to fame was always getting every job that I had without a resume. I would just network with people. And so I went to start working for them and testing out their breast pumps and then calling people and like doing customer service essentially. While I was there, they decided that they wanted to buy a pre and postnatal wellness facility. So I facilitated more of a relationship with the woman who I had been like working out with. And all together, we started a place called Maternal Health and Wellness. And while I was there, I went on to become the director of marketing and also a clinical lactation counselor and childbirth educator and doula. So
Wow.
that's where I left like the corporate world after that.
Yes. So, speaking of that, I think every entrepreneur has at some point in their life dreamed of quitting their day job on the spot.
Yeah,
Like, mic drop, I'm out. A little birdie told me that you may have actually done that. Could you
I did do that.
share a little bit about that experience?
Yes, and I will preface it with, like, I am definitely coming from a place of privilege. At the time, my husband is was the he still is, the, the main breadwinner of the family. And I was doing this to help us out and because I really liked it. And during my time there, I was building the company's brand and it was a largely around my personal brand. Because I was having kids at the time, so I was using that, and I could see like I'm not going to be able to do this forever. Like so I started also building my personal brand online through selling makeup at the time, and I loved it. I loved being on video. I loved connecting with people. I loved the community that came with it. And they didn't love that. The company didn't love that. At least my boss didn't love that at the time and didn't understand how they didn't have to compete. And it felt so stressful. I had 3 kids. I wanted to do something I enjoyed, and I was like, "I don't need this. Like, I don't need to be told what to do and when I can, grow my own personal brand." So, after a conversation, I was sitting in my driveway in the car so the kids wouldn't, like, disrupt me and just, like, listening, and I was like, "You know what? I quit. I'm done. Like, I'm just not this is not for me." And then sadly, though, about 5 or 6 months later, they shut down the whole place. So,
Oh, wow.
I got out on my own terms
Right.
when yeah, and a lot of people had been really, kind of surprised by it. So, I was very happy with my decision.
That's good. That's very brave, but I love that you took that step that was right for you at the time.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, as you transitioned into your own business and opening your own business, what was the biggest learning curve that you encountered as you started up?
The biggest learning curve that I, took with me as I started was that it's not really about strategy. It's not really about doing everything right. It's about figuring out how you can personally hold yourself and your nervous system through all the ups and downs that come with business. I think if you can learn how to do that, you will only be successful because you can have all the right strategies. It doesn't mean you're going to get clients. You can have all the right social media. You can have everything in place. But if you start talking negatively to yourself, if something goes wrong, it's not gonna last because entrepreneurship is so up and down. You have to be able to say, "Okay, I see this as a lesson, and I'm gonna learn from it, and I'm gonna move on, and it doesn't mean anything about me, like, to my core."
That's a really interesting point and something that I've been dealing with over the last few months, especially. I kind of recently learned that I think my entire system had just been in that fight or flight mode for like my
Mhm.
entire life. So I've been doing some deep work to kind of regulate that.
Amazing.
Julie Costa's program Activate, I've
Yeah.
really enjoyed that self hypnosis and like subliminal
Mhm.
recordings. It helps me really relax and calm down. And I'm not going to lie, I've also recently started, for other reasons too, but taking some medicine for the whole
Mhm.
calming down of my system and anxiety,
Mhm.
depression sort of stuff postpartum. So I
Yeah.
love that that was something that you learned kind of earlier on. Some people don't necessarily realize that until it's a little too late. Not that it's too late for me,
R
but
Right, but no, I was in the similar position as you when I had my 3rd. I actually am published in the book by Motherly, which is a big media company all about being a mom, about postpartum rage, and I had gotten to this point where I was, like, so angry all the time, and that's not my personality, and I decided to try medicine for my anxiety, and it is literally what changed my life. I took it for a few months, and then I consciously worked with a psychiatrist who practiced holistic medicine, like, helped me wean off of it, and in that place, I learned meditation and I learned all these things that then helped me in my entrepreneurship journey because I was very much like you and I was in fight or flight all the time. And that's not the place to come from to like design a business because you're going to burn out, right? Like it's inevitable. So, kudos to you for taking that brave step. And it's only gonna be like just so positive in the long run.
yes, thank you. You too. So that actually goes into my next question perfectly. So you're a mom of 3 kids. How, in addition to calming the nervous system, how do you balance business ownership and parenting responsibilities effectively?
Effectively. So as I was thinking, I was running around looking for my phone and I'm like, "Oh, this is a Failing Forward podcast." I literally feel like I'm failing every single day in motherhood, in business, and then also can hold the same duality of like seeing what a success they both are too. So it's that has been a big lesson. But I have decided to be like the primary parent, that I do all of the communication with school. I do all of, and my husband does a ton, but I'm the one who has to do my son's IEP things and just have all of that kind of organized. So I have prioritized just working during school hours. And then I do some stuff in the evening because my kids are a little bit older now. Like I can do that while they're doing their homework. And I've just had such a desire to be able to find a way. I don't think that like there's a clear cut balance for moms right now, unfortunately. Like it's very hard to find that. But I've been able to kind of like hobble something together that feels really good to me. And I've also always been really upfront with my clients and kind of whoever I'm working with, that they know what season I am in life. And I'm not going to respond to you, right away after hours most times. And most of the people that I work with completely understand that. So it's a possibility. It's a possibility to be able to like really configure something that works for your family and
That's great.
lifestyle.
And putting those boundaries in place, I think, is hard for a lot of women when they start out,
Mhm.
especially. I know that's something I've struggled with, and wanting to be responsive all the time and immediately on something for my clients. But there's so much balancing that we have to do. So it's great that your clients are accepting of that, and it's been a great experience for balance for you.
And I think if you set that expectation for yourself too, of that I see what I'm doing too as a way to, you know, be a strong feminist and be I like healing what has happened in the past. And if you look at your what you're designing as so much more than just, I'm talking to people about Instagram most of the time, but it's so much more than that. And just being that example for other women that this is a possibility, and that coming from it from that angle and that energy, I feel like
I
attracts the
love
right
that.
people too.
I love that. Being a role model is so important. We don't have to fall into
Yeah,
those old patterns. We're
exactly.
blazing a new trail.
Right.
So, parenting and business ownership are very similar in that they require a lot of decision making, and that can bring up for a lot of people feelings of self doubt. Self doubt can be a tough one for people to handle, especially in entrepreneurship. Can you share a little bit about your experience with your son's autism diagnosis and on how that's affected your decision making or your approach to decision making?
Sure. So my son was diagnosed when he was 27 months and he's 12, almost 13 now. So we've been on this journey for a long time, and it has just been the most incredible one. I tell anybody who tells me that that their child was recently diagnosed with autism, I just say that it has been such a gift for our family, and that's also understanding that there's a lot of challenges too. But it has been such a gift in healing for myself and my husband, of looking at our lifestyle and saying, we're going to do what works for us. We're going to do what is the best for our family. My kids sleep in my bedroom right now. That's not the norm, but I don't care what's happening in anybody else's house. It works in our house, and it works for many different reasons. So that kind of like built up my strength as an entrepreneur too, because I don't do business like other people. I don't have a website right now. I am working on it, but I've been in business for 4 years and I don't have a website. And people will tell I don't want to say I don't care. Like I'm not flippantly saying like I don't care. I am so solid in the way that I do business, in the way that I attract my clients, and I attract amazing ones. Like I don't have to change. And that's what autism really taught me too, is that I was never going to do something that like kind of trained Declan to be different. I wanted him to be so fully who he was. And in that, I was able to see, oh, wow, like I should do the same for myself too. I should be able to. And when you see somebody doing that and living their life in that way, it impacts you. And I just always come back to, okay, if I can do that too, then I can impact others to do the same just by giving them permission, because that's how I'm living my life. That's the place that I'm living from.
I love it. And trusting your gut
Mhm.
is a learned task.
Oh, yeah.
I have found out too. So I love that translates across your life into business as well. Okay, I'm going to go into some questions about business specifically. Is there my signature question here? What is your biggest business failure and what did you learn from it?
That it's such a hard question for me because I have really embodied the place of, that all failure is feedback. Like, it's I really, truly, truly believe that. So I have had programs that have maybe only sold 1 spot. I had one in particular that did that. So I would say I think that is it. It was a really hard question for me to answer because I really believe that I don't feel like it's a I feel like on the daily, there's little failures all of the time, like not being able to get an email out, not being able to but the overarching picture, the biggest one would just be I think also, like, the times that I just didn't go for it, like, I held myself back. That is where I would see, like, a real true failure in not just being, like, going for the certain messaging or going for a certain program that I wanted to put out there. That's when I really feel like, oh, that like I really like fell short there.
And have you learned to go for it a little bit more along the way?
I certainly have. I've learned to just go for it, do it messy, and I've also learned that my lifestyle is really busy right now, that I have to give myself grace, that I don't want, like, a big team working for me. I can't manage that right now. So, I can only do what I can, and I can't get caught up in, like, "Oh, but look at that other person who's doing so much more than you." So, that's when I get into that mindset of, like, "Oh, I'm failing." When I can stay in my own lane and just say, like, "Look at all of these people that are being impacted. Look at all these people that are showing up." That's when I'm like, "Okay, this is working, and in 10 years, I'm gonna have all the time in the world." Maybe, like, when I don't know when parenthood gets slower, but, it will be different one day.
I love that. Owning that your path right now is your path and doing it the way that you
Mhm.
want that works for you is beautiful.
Exactly.
All right. Question about controversial opinions. Is there an
Oh,
opinion that you hold about your industry, Instagram, social media, how you do business, anything that maybe nobody agrees with you about to that point, but it works for you?
yeah, okay, so my controversial opinion is that you don't need a niche. You don't need to niche down. I think if you do niche down, you will probably have sales more quickly. But I've never really niched down, and I've had a business for 4 years. I've made the money that I've desired. I've had months where I've sold out programs completely. So, if you build a strong personal brand, I believe that you can pivot as many times as you want in your career, and you will find success. And a lot of people don't agree with that.
I love it though. Personal branding is something that's on my radar a lot lately. So I love that you brought that up.
Love it.
What have you done from the personal brand side of things for your business over the last few years? Like, has there been anything that's been particularly impactful for you?
Video has been the strongest thing for my personal brand. I went live for the first time when I was in Vegas for my sister's wedding. I think it was 2017. It was like I had just seen it on Facebook that there was this possibility. I went live. I was on an escalator in one of the hotels and I just started talking and then ended up live streaming her wedding. And it has just continually made me visible. And I've always authentically shared, and I think a key in that is I've never shared from the open wound. Like when I'm direct, I've always shared a little bit after the healing and the processing. And I think that's a little bit different than like showing up on camera and being like, my life's a mess. And like most of the time it is, but being able to process some of that and then showing up from the lesson versus the immediate chaos of it.
That's smart. I like that a lot. Video is something, as we've talked about, that I struggle with. I'm working on it. You've given me some
You're doing a
great
great job.
tips. But I love it. All right, let's close this out with if you could give us one or two Instagram tips that you use for yourself or your clients that you think everybody should be doing outside of the personal branding. What would that be?
I think that I would try to release some of the strategy and embrace more of the flexibility, especially around video. So, I see so many people get so caught up in the strategy and the perfectionism. I have to do this. I have to have this graphic. I have to do this way. I think if you can kind of take a step back and just look at what do you want to authentically share with your community, really kind of tune in and say, like, what does my community need to hear from me today? And go out and make a video. I guarantee that you are going to make connections. It might not be an immediate sale right there, but people are going to connect to your energy and they're going to be the ones that either refer you or they're going to end up hiring you in the long run. So I think we get so caught up in that strategy, so caught up in the way that it should look. And I would really just encourage people to just show up as who they are, get on video, and you're going to build the right community.
I love it. You've inspired me. I'm going to do a video today. Mark my words. I
Yes,
will do a video by the end of the day.
and I will cheer you on. I will be there
I
to
love it.
cheer you on.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Meg, so much. All of this has been great to hear your story and your little tips. I love so much that you are designing the business and the life that works for you. So thank you so much for being on the Failing Forward podcast.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. It was so great.
It was great. All right. I will talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.